It's story time.
All right, guys. So here's the situation. In high school, I thought for like a hot second, anyway, like just for a little bit, that I was going to be an anarchist, right?
Of course you did.
It's,
Of course.
I know. I mean, it's what you do when you're 14, 15 years old, and you're in high school and you're looking for your own way. But like, that's a really absurd thing, because if you would know me in high school, like 6'1", 6'2", maybe 110 pounds soaking wet, like that's being a little bit generous. Had there been like an anarchy sort of situation, like the purge, I'm like person number one out the door. Somebody's hitting me in the back of the head with a shovel, I am dead. Like, could you imagine a high school kid like the one I just described with like my big mouth also, like running around on Cormac McCarthy's The Road? Have you seen or read that?
I've
Read the book or seen the movie? Yeah, geez.
You would have been gone inside of like chapter 1, buddy.
But I thought I was gonna make it. I thought in this like potential Thunderdome reality that like we could burn this thing down. Like, I got Zach De La Roca in my headphones. I'm gonna Rage Against the Machine. Like, I'm gonna make it in this anarchist world, and that was just not gonna happen. Like, there's just no way in heck I was going to make it as an anarchist. I would have needed like some sort of like anarcho-naturism or like living out in caves, but that would be so boring. Like, who wants to live out in a cave eating grubs? Like, I've made it now. Like,
Yeah.
that was my anarchy fantasy. That's what I thought I was going to, like, that was the world I wanted when I was, in high school.
Where did you think you were going to be able to listen to your Misfits and Rancid from?
I didn't think that through. It made sense to me in the moment, but like really, like I didn't think that through at all. There was no thought process there.
So as much as I would like to pretend that you were like this totally different individual at 14 or 15, I think you're pretty much telling the entire story of high school students who are 14, 15, 16-year-olds who believe that anarchy can actually work. And
It's a totally uninformed opinion. Like what I really think I wanted more than anything else was just like a friend.
Man, that's so sad.
Like, just like a friend, somebody that I didn't meet at a punk rock show, some like old guy who was like, "Hey man, you want a cigarette?" And I'm like, "No, smoking's bad. I just want to have someone to stand with until the next set."
I am so sad for your younger self.
All right, I made it. I'm here. Made it through.
Are
we ready to start the show?
We are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Storytime with the Historists, the podcast for world history students, teachers, and enthusiasts. It's world history told our way. And on
this is a special episode. Yes, this is it. 20 episodes. We made it. We did it from the back room microphone that we literally found. Like, let's podcast to this. The 20 and we have a special guest historist with us here today. You feel like chiming in?
Yeah, I'm here. Mr. Arco joining the podcast this afternoon. Really excited to be here and share some historist views from an English teacher perspective.
Loving it. And which area of the moon are you broadcasting from currently?
The back side, because it's so dark here. Yeah,
dark side of the moon. Well, I'm glad you made it with us here today. And so you might be wondering why we're talking about anarchy, why we're talking about all this sort of stuff. And really the idea for this episode came from you, Mr. Arco. So you had shared with all of us a meme, the shopping cart theory meme, that you had found posted. And so break this thing down. What was this meme?
Yeah, no problem. I was doing what every good millennial does, and I was surfing Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I was on Twitter when I saw this post, and it was an anonymous post, reblogged and reposted and liked and shared by a bunch of people, and it was about the shopping cart theory, and it's this idea that people are judged based on what they do with the shopping cart. So you're in a shopping cart, you've put all your groceries away, you're at the back of your car, and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Do I take the shopping cart back to the store? Do I drop it off at one of those little corrals? Or do I just leave it in front of my car and screw the next person over, right?
How far are you away from the actual like shopping cart disposal
Oh.
area? That plays a huge
Well, I mean,
role.
That is a loaded question. I don't
I
think
don't
that
think
should be
it
factored
matters.
in.
Like, I'm not taking the Target shopping cart and then going to King Supers with it. Like, what are we talking? At minimum, 300. I mean, at maximum, 300 yards.
Well,
Like,
that was my
2
question.
minutes.
Are you at the far end of the parking lot, and like the parking lot, bring the parking lot cart, the shopping cart area all the way down at the end of the aisle? Or are you close to it?
I don't know, but I don't know that it matters. Like, are you saying that you would rather? So anyway, let's get back to the meme. So,
All right, yeah, I think we need some more context there.
the meme states, like, it's all about self-governing. If you are a person who can self-govern, you will return that shopping cart. No one is going to be out there telling you if you choose not to do it, you leave it in front of your car. No one's going to be like, oh, there's severe consequences for that. You're going to have to go to cart jail. No, nothing's going to happen. You're just going to move on with your life, and someone else is going to take care of that cart. Or are you going to be the kind of person who knows it's right to return the cart? There's a spot for it. There's a little sign that says, please return cart here. Are you going to do that? Those are your two options.
I like the idea that it's this whole thing where there is absolutely no punishment or no reward regardless of your actions. You don't benefit from returning the cart. You don't get punished if you don't. And is that the true test of self-governing and morality? Do you do the right thing when there's no incentive or no repercussion if you don't? I like it. I am one who does return the shopping cart. I feel guilt if I don't. I do.
Okay, so that was when you asked the question before. That was a hypothetical. You were like, "Oh, maybe if it's like 27 steps, I'm not walking it over." Okay,
I always do, because if I didn't, that guilt would eat away with me. So that's not really a self-governing thing. That's more like a higher power thing, which is an entirely different conversation.
But is it though? I mean, think about it. If you think about the grand scope of everything we've talked about, and our primary audience for this is our AP World History students, and one of the things that we've seen through the progression of the curriculum through from about 1250 on is that human beings have found various systems, and oftentimes it's the overlapping of multiple systems as a means to producing like high quality living standards, like a positive end. And so we've seen like the infusion of religion make its way into social stratification, make its way into laws and economic systems. And so I think what you're describing is like, while the meme that Tyler described to us, like there's no legal ramification, right? There's no like shopping cart ogre who's out there like in Target stomping around like, I'll break your bones if you don't put it away. Like there's no one there who's going to destroy your reality.
Right.
But at the same time, you also know, like in this case, like there's this cultural pressure that if I leave the cart here, then some high school kid's going to have to walk out of his way.
Yes.
If he got hit by a car,
oh my God,
they're dangerous. Like, you'd
way
feel
to take
really,
it to
really
the next
guilty.
level, Matt. That's
I mean,
great.
but you're infusing a morality to it, right?
Totally.
You're projecting that into there. And we've seen this all throughout the course of our AP curriculum. And in fact, as we get closer and closer to the modern time period, society has found more and more ways to layer in more and more systems of accountability, which is interesting because what Tyler's talking about is if you could just take the cart back on your own, you could internalize all those systems of accountability. You wouldn't need any accountability. You are capable. You are not a subhuman. You're not a shaved ape, right? You can get the cart from point A to point B every single time, not because you get a reward or anything else, but just because it's the right thing to do.
What a very Rousseau way to look at things.
It's like almost like I spent a large chunk of my childhood thinking about what it'd be like to have no government systems in control and being able to make the own best decisions for yourself, right? I think probably what would have happened though is like the one time I didn't take the cart back, somebody would have hit me in the back of the head with a shovel, and that would have been that. Like I assume that would have been what would have happened. And I also didn't drive in high school, so this was like a total moot point for me. Like
there really is. Like I think the more we talk about it, the worse it gets for you at this stage of the game in anarchism.
Story of my life.
Let's talk about the shopping cart in terms of like a Hobbes and Locke scenario. So Thomas Hobbes, AP students, as you know, definitely believed that, if we return to a state of nature, whatever, man is brutish, man is evil, they'll do whatever they can to get whatever they want. And so therefore you need a strong government to control the people so we don't end up with the shovel in the back of the head.
Right, and he knew this from experience, right?
Yeah,
Because
right.
he created these thoughts during the English Civil War, and I mean
Mhm.
and we'll eventually have to do a whole episode on the English Civil War, and we'll chop heads off and Cromwell and all that sort of stuff. If you're familiar with V for Vendetta, the
Oh yeah,
awesome
that's
graphic novel
yeah, yeah,
series,
yeah.
yeah, that draws very heavily from this time period. But yeah, it's not like he just like there was no context
Right.
to this thought. Like he had witnessed horrible brutality taking place from a very organized society. Like
Right.
England during the 1600s was very, very organized. It's not like it was some sort of like just out of the caveman sort of situation.
Mhm.
This was a early modern society, right? So he had some context for that. So
Yep. But
he thinks absolute power is the way to go.
John Locke also lived during the English Civil War, and he didn't think people were these horrible, nasty, brutish individuals that would nail each other in the back of the head with a shovel given any kind of opportunity. He thought people were actually relatively decent. And so
Right.
why is his perspective different?
Well, in part, it's got to do with like some of his patronage, who he had come up with from a political standpoint. Like, Tyler, I know you guys spent a lot of time in the AP Let world breaking down Shakespearean plays, and those are really fraught with like internal political tensions, right?
Yeah.
And so Locke is very much cast into a real life version of a Shakespearean play where he is trying to curry favor with monarchists. He's trying to curry favor with some of these people who are eventually going to bring about the glorious revolution. And he basically believes that there's a balance. He thinks that if England goes back to what it had prior to the Magna Carta and to the English Civil War, this would be really, really bad. But he knows if he pushes too far, like what happens to all the antagonists and protagonists in Shakespeare plays, Tyler, you know this, they die.
Yeah.
Right, they get killed by somebody. Something awful befalls these characters. That usually, they kill their patron, and then they're killed by somebody else. And we're all supposed to learn from this. And Locke kind of learns that maybe the way to go is to push slightly. So he says like government should have authority and power, but only to a limited degree. Like he's kind of splitting the baby, right? He's like, we should have some form of self-governance, and we should have some sort of like people making the best decisions for themselves.
Is he like a 17th century fence sitter?
Yeah, I think he is in a lot of ways. And it would be easy to say like, oh, those ideas are like naive or whatever. But like there's a guy in the Americas named Thomas Jefferson who's going to read his two treatises on government, Locke's treatises on government. And he's like, you know what? This is an excellent system of government. This is a great basis for a system of government. And we should be able to, basically give the government some power as citizens and expect in return that we'd have some power back.
Interesting. What do you think, Mr.
So,
Marco?
Yeah,
well,
what are
I
you
was
thinking?
just wondering, so if I was to relate this back to the shopping cart thing, are we saying that Locke is like, okay, we are going to allow the people of the shopping cart to determine whether to take it back or not?
Yes.
But then there would be layers of, if you don't take it back, there is some sort of punishment. Like, is that the part of the power that Locke wants to give to the government?
Yeah, I think Locke would be something like, I think Locke would believe most people would return the shopping carts. But if you didn't, there would be like a harshly worded letter.
Right.
You wouldn't be forced ever to do it. And then if the shopping cart ogre decided to come back, and beat you to death, then that would be your opportunity as a citizen to say they've gone too far. Now we can rebel against this system.
You're justified in doing that, right? That you don't have to put up with the tyranny of the shopping cart or ogre or Targania or whatever, like country we're making up here, this corporatist country that which is in 2020 maybe not too far away, but we could rebel and we'd be justified in rebelling. And then I think what you're talking about in what Jen, what you brought up is like there's this third path, which is what the author of the shopping cart meme, this theory meme, is laying out, and that's the Rousseauian path. That essentially we are all. This is going to be a really drastic simplification, but essentially we are all born with the knowledge that putting the shopping cart away is the right thing to do. Like inherently we know this, and it's not until we go out in the shopping cart and you see like the Karens out there with their frappuccinos leaving the shopping carts out in the places, and the guys who just like let it slowly drift off into your car and the alarm's going off, and you've got the kid out there who's like, I'm not walking all the way out to the end, and then there's the fifth person who's taking that shopping cart, like you said, and walking it over to Walmart, and like we learn these bad behaviors. Like the society of the parking lot teaches us to be bad. And so if we all just resisted our base instincts, we wouldn't need a shopping cart ogre. We wouldn't need a strongly worded letter. We wouldn't even need the carousel. Like in a perfect society, we would take the shopping cart to our car and we'd bring it right back to the store. Yeah, that's what Rousseau thinks. And that guy's an idiot.
Yeah, please, that's not. And then Hobbes believes we have to have the ogre out because we're never going to return our carts. So unless we consistently punish people in order for them to do the right thing, we would have like shopping cart chaos everywhere in, what do you call it? Targania parking lot? Yeah.
Targania.
So, who knows? But right. I do like the test of morality via the shopping cart.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to start judging people when I go to Targania or Target.
Start judging people.
Oh, I was going to say, I've already judged people.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse than when you're driving in the parking lot, you find an open spot, you're pulling in, and then you're slamming on the brake because the cart's there. And you are saying some profanity at the person who left that cart there. I'm telling you what.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, or you're driving your like early 2000s Honda Civic, the preferred teacher car of choice, and you're slowly nudging the shopping cart with the car forward, just because you're like, which is also a violation of the social contract of Targania.
Oh my God, that is too funny.
But I mean, I think this does apply, like when you get back to this idea of like you found this out on Twitter or Instagram or wherever, and I'm sure you saw all sorts of examples here in 2020 and month number 3 of the global quarantine that we're in right now of people self-governing, right? Of people putting the shopping cart away over and over and over again. I'm sure there was just tons of evidence of that, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, shopping carts, anywhere I went, shopping carts were all put away.
I'm sure.
In the place that the person believed they belonged. So it might not be where they actually belong, but according to that person, that's where that shopping cart needed to be.
And that's where this gets problematic, right? I know when we were talking off mic before we started recording, we'd all like, first of all, everybody who sees that meme is always like, they say the same thing. I sent it out to buddies of mine, family members, and everybody was like, I bring the shopping cart back. And like 100% of people will report to bringing the shopping cart back. Right. Yet every single parking lot there's 50% of the carts are out there. So like, unless there's a strong breeze or selective, like, I don't know. So there is this idea of like, I put it in a reasonable place, and that starts to apply itself here. Like, this is not a political podcast. We don't spend our time critiquing like policies for President Trump, or we're recording this out here in Colorado, so we're not going to look at the policies of the Governor Polis. But there is this sort of reality where we have large scale protests happening nationally and locally at state capitals, and people are saying like, oh, you got to open up the government, we will do the right thing, right? That's the libertarian sort of platform. If the government gets out of my way, I will make sure that I follow all the rules necessary to not spread this virus, right? But then, as Tyler points out, like, you go out to the parking lot and there's carts everywhere. People are doing what they think is right, and there is a level of subjectivity there, right? There's what I think is right might not be what you think is right. Like, the mask seems to be the litmus test right now that we're in as a society of what is right and what is wrong. Like, should I wear a mask? Should I not wear a mask? Am I wearing it for myself? Am I wearing it for somebody else? Once you start splitting hairs like that, then it becomes really difficult to say like the universality of putting the shopping cart away.
Yeah, it's like, I was looking the other day did you guys see the big photos from like Boulder Creek and all the, Generation Z, they're not even millennials anymore.
Yeah, we had this conversation already. Millennials.
Don't put us into that.
And
Tyler was putting avocados on his toast. He wasn't Creek. They
were totally proving Hobbes right? That if we were to continue to use the shopping cart metaphor, there'd be shopping carts all over Boulder Creek. Like, they were terrible. Like, there was no social distancing, no masks. So So in that case, when you bring up the argument, get out of our way and we'll do what we're supposed to do, that they prove that we wouldn't.
Right.
But then
right.
you see tons of people going to the grocery stores wearing a mask, and they prove that they would.
That's true. I mean, and that's where this starts to get really, really complicated. And then let's take the shopping cart analogy one step further. Let's say like you're a single mom and you're out at the grocery store with your 3 kids and at Targania. And you got the kids in the car, you've got all the groceries loaded up, you got your frozen foods and stuff, you got ice cream. It's, beginning of the summer. You don't want it to melt. The kids are in the hot car. The shopping cart, the carousel or whatever is 300 yards away, like Tyler said at the beginning. Do you walk the shopping cart all the way across, leaving the food, leaving the kids unattended, all those sorts of things? Or do you put it off into an area that's out of the way, maybe push it up, like a very popular thing in my neighborhood is to push it up onto the sidewalk, or in the rocks, the landscaping, so that they're not in cars' way, it's out of the way, but I can't leave my kids here. So that's like a socioeconomic question, right? Because I don't bring my kids to the grocery store, one, because that's chaotic in and of itself. Even in like perfect normal times, no one wants to be at a grocery store with a 5 and a 2-year-old. But like I also have the option of leaving my kids with my wife. If you don't have that option, then the choices that you're going to make are going to be informed by your reality. It's like the Les Mis sort of situation here.
But is that even, or is it more like, is that if you were faced with that similar decision in a self-governing society, if you pick your kids, which I would, I have a 15-year-old son, I would pick my kid 24/7 over everybody. But again, is that the indication that you are always out for yourself, and so therefore you do need a government, or it would end up being everybody out for themselves and chaos?
Yeah, I don't know, Mr. Arco, you're a resident millennial. Should we go out for ourselves, or should we do what's best for society?
Well, and I think that's always the tricky part. It's always the balance that you're looking for there. Like first and foremost, I would like to live and have a good life. So I need to look out for myself, but also for the good of society. So it has to be to a point where I'm willing to give up a few things so that others are better, but I'm not willing to give up everything so that my life is so bad that others are better. You know what I mean? Like you have to, like, there's got to be that balance in that place where, I'll agree to give up a few things that matter less to me, but I'm not going to give up these things.
Which gets us back to the shopping cart.
I know.
Like, when is it okay to leave it, and when is it not okay to leave it?
So maybe that's the case. We're looking too much in the black and white. Like it either has to be completely returned or not completely returned. What if it's not completely returned, but you put it in a way that's not blocking cars or anywhere else?
I don't know.
Oh man, this is just.
Yeah, I mean, because the more I think about it, the more I like. But the issue here is like we could split hairs, but then the goal of self-government is like that's an absolute. Right. If you're going to like that, like you have to make the right decisions every single time. And at a certain point in time, like if somebody has to go out there and get the shopping carts and start bringing them back, eventually you start skewing away from self-government and towards some sort of control mechanism.
Yep.
Because
I think the way to fix it is like by coming together. So to use your single mom with the 3 kids and the food, if someone were to see that and think, oh, I know that shopping cart needs to go back, here's what I can do. Hey, ma'am, let me take that cart for you. I'm on my way into the store, or I'm taking my cart back. Now we're both self-governing and helping out the people who need it in that instance. So that seems to be like the way to do it versus like ideally versus a government stepping in. It's we as a people recognizing it enough to help others.
And then
that's Rousseau. So that's Rousseau.
And I think that's a great idea, but then let's play the devil's advocate. What if you have a person who is fully capable of returning the cart and simply does it over and over and over again? Do we keep returning the cart for that person? Oh, this is so good.
Yeah, I'd say no. I'd say that there needs to be something in place, but then as a society, like the patrons of Targania would need to then like come up with a solution that would work for that particular instance? Do you ban the person from the store? If it's the only store in town, you could be, sentencing that person to death. Is that too much, or do you do like the thing you do with kids when they don't listen to you and you're like, you better listen? Like, that's not gonna probably work either, right? Like, don't make me come in there. Like, they're if there's no teeth, they're not going to respond. So I do think you have to hold that person accountable, but then what's a good way of doing so?
How about rolling down the window and saying, excuse me, can you return your cart, please?
Or just coughing on the person. Just roll down your window and cough at them.
You are going to dark places today, Mr. Breen. Shovel to the back of the head, coughing on people. Oh my God.
That's not a reasonable response, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think it's a basket. They have to carry one of the baskets. Like, they no longer get a cart.
In it. Yeah.
Now you get to carry the basket until you prove, because they don't let you take those baskets out of the store. You then got to carry the bags out.
Oh, I like that, Mr. Arco.
Dude, that's like the modern day Scarlet Letter.
Exactly. Oh, look at that guy with his basket.
The label of the basket.
He's taken like 5 trips back and forth to get all of it.
Spend all day at the store.
I'm seeing this guy with his basket, or woman, I don't want to be sexist here, or non-binary, whatever works for you. I'm seeing it on their arm, and like their arms are ready to fall up because there's like 2 gallons of milk and a 12-pack of soda, and they can't hold it anymore. But you know what? That's the repercussion for not returning.
That would be the
cart.
repercussion, right? All right. So here's the question I got for you guys, because I know we're starting to run short on time. We've come to this agreement. We seem to have made a way to make this work. We all I think it's not a stretch to say that all 3 of us would prefer self-governance over any of the other models where you have partial governance, like the social contract of Locke, or the absolute governance, the social contract of Hobbes. I think we all would prefer this Rousseauian world, sans the violent anarchy, which is essentially what the Libertarian Party has been preaching in national elections since the 1960s. And yet they never get like more than 1% of the vote. And you have like the guy who's out there right now, who's looks like he might be the standard bearer for the Libertarian Party, like Vernon Supreme. Like Vernon Supreme is talking about like all these self-governance, like we could make this all work in the time of coronavirus. And when you listen to this guy talk, like as soon as you take it out of the realm of like shopping cart land and put it into like the actuality of society, everybody scoffs at that. And I'm curious why do you think it is that we like, in the conceptual verse, like we're willing to give this a go, and everybody seems to be really gung-ho about it, but as soon as you start to put it into practical application, people are like, no. And I only bring that up because how many shots does communism get before we as a human society are like, no, that one's just not going to work? Because we've been running our head into that wall for over 100 years, yet we very rarely have we seen anybody attempt to put into place the Rousseauian contract, this shopping cart theory applied. So why do you think that is?
That is a great question. And not getting into like the political funding or, backside kissing of the politicians of both the Republican and Democratic Party and how, I don't want to get into that, but I think it's a case of, I think people would believe more in libertarianism if we were all on the level playing field. I think it's a case where we know that society is not on a level playing field. And so it is harder to implement that when we're all at different socioeconomic stages. I think that's the biggest thing.
All right, what about you, Tyler?
I think it's the high stakes piece. Like if we took a self-governing view of, let's say, something like drugs or even like arms, right? We're talking about a few bad apples not turning their cart in. Okay, it's a cart, whatever. We started talking about a few bad apples getting guns or mistreating drugs. We're talking about death. And I think it's the stakes. Like we're just not willing as a society or as a person to gamble with our life that freely, whereas we can easily gamble a shopping cart because most of the time it's not gonna like, okay, I skip one spot, go to the next one, and that teenager's picking up that cart.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it also goes back, Mr. Arco, what you're talking, Tyler, not Mr. Arco, what you're talking about is when we're in the parking lot driving and we see someone not returning the cart, we are all good and fine yelling at them from the interior of our car and uttering profanities. But do we ever really say anything? I think we have a hard time holding people accountable in today's society.
I would agree with that. I think that there is that piece of it's all the as you were talking, Tyler, I started to think about like, the high stakes of like, we started this off with talking about all the various layers of systems, those interlocking systems that we've put into place to make living this sociable world possible. And whether it's the economic ramifications, the health ramifications, the legal ramifications, it could be a technology thing, like how many people walk by shopping carts and never even think to put them back in the caddy because they're looking at their phone, or you're doing something and you see the lady who needs help, and instead of helping her, I gotta tag this person in this post or whatever. Like there's so many different ways that we can excuse ourselves from that, and they all have to do with the various systems that we've put into place to make this all work, and it does become hard to buck that trend a little bit, to find it in yourself, to step out, to be that black sheep. Getting back to the initial metaphor, one of my favorite punk rock albums of all time, Minor Threat, Black Sheep. It's all about going against the grain and being your own person. And, I thought when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, that meant being an anarchist. But really, maybe what it is at the end of the day, it's just finding a way to just be the best person you can be. And if maybe we were all just a little bit better, we wouldn't all have to be Rousseau. We wouldn't all have to be, a Simone Bolivar, a revolutionary, somebody like that. We could just be, just affect that small amount of change.
Way to bring it back, Mr. Breen.
That's what we do here. All right. So that, everybody, is the story of shopping carts. No, I'm just kidding. That's the story of the complex nature of the world. I don't know what that is.
We're all over, so it's all good.
We were all, but I think that 20 episodes in, I think that anybody who's listened to this podcast now knows that there's not a lot of simplicity here. The world history in and of itself is not black and white. There's just nothing but various shades of gray. And I think that, inadvertently, Tyler, I think you sparked a lot of a real deep introspection by doing that most millennial of things, finding something on the internet and randomly sharing it. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It also inspired my graduation speech, which I just recorded earlier today before joining you guys on the podcast. So look for some millennial flavor in that as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Is it going to be like your Penguin one, but it's like be like the shopping cart, like be sturdy, carry things?
Yeah, I wish it was like that, but no, I went with something a little bit more, typical graduation advice. Yeah.
Nothing about like when the rocks get in the way, keep those wheels moving and...
No.
Beware the parking lot ogre.
Find the one with the squeaky wheel.
I like it. That works on many, many levels. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, for tuning in for 20 episodes now. We really appreciate all of our listeners. Of course, you can find us on Spotify at Storytime with the Histories. You can find us at Apple Podcasts, iTunes Podcasts, Storytime with the Histories. You can find our main website at anchor.fm/STHistories. And we're out there on all the social media platforms. We're really looking forward to season number 2. We got some good stuff, don't we, Jen?
Oh, we got some really good stuff. I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, though, because I'm super excited. And I just want people to, enter season 2 with a open mind and curiosity.
A sense of anticipation and not dread.
Very much so, yeah. No more dread.
I like it. All right. Well, I think that'll do us here for episode number 20. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
See you next time.
Thanks for letting me join.